a chance here, a great save. A turner from McClare. Mike Fanning. A terrific goal by Sheridan. Brexman against Jones. Get in. You could have two goalkeepers in there that would have trouble with saving that.
The Wednesday Week is sponsored by Michael Constantine Wealth Management. We bet you can't find a financial advisor closer to Hillsborough Stadium.
Hello, good evening and welcome to another episode of the Wednesday Week. Darren Moore has left Sheffield Wednesday by mutual consent after 2 years in charge. The big man from Birmingham has said his goodbyes. Along with his backroom team, he's departed S6. With Chairman Dejphon Chansiri calling a fans forum tomorrow evening, will he be flanked by the new manager or will he be able to shed some light on the situation? Was he pushed or were there irreconcilable differences? With 14 signed players, we are now going to start the season without a manager in the dugout. Let's try and make sense of it this evening. Tonight I've got Stevie, Blair, Carlos Cavalgal apparently, and Ash. Welcome to the Twitter users as well. If you want to get involved, Ash is going to be manning the phones tonight. So if you want to slag off somebody who, about their appearance, then we'll read them out as well anyway. So that's what's happening. Now, I tell you what, Stevie, I'm going to leave you to last because I think you need an extra moment just to come to terms with it. Blair, how do you feel about the news? Like it's come out of nowhere, right?
I was picking my toddler up earlier, and that was when Gary O'Neill.
Is that a euphemism?
Yeah. And that's when Gary O'Neill got sacked when I was driving to nursery, and I was like, Christ, what are they doing? Do you know what I mean? He did a decent job last season. And then I got someone tweeted in my other group chat. I mean, with the North Yorkshire Hours lot, and they said I was like, "F off," basically. I thought, click the link. I was convinced it was a hoaxy, crappy summer tweet. So I was looking for like things in like the app, was it Sheffield Wednesday with a 3 for an E and stuff like that. I was looking for any tell to say that it wasn't a real tweet. And it was, wasn't it? And it was just like, what? I was
absolutely the same. I was double checking the source because Wednesday Till I Die pod had somebody, infiltrate their entire Twitter profile, and I thought this is going to be something along those lines. I was sat there checking it and checking the URL and things like that. I thought, because this is insane, isn't it, John?
Absolutely stunned, guys. I really am. I mean, we're still rewatching the final, most of us, aren't we? We can't get it out of his heads. It was such an amazing experience, and he's just been at the helm of one of the most incredible seasons in club history. From looking like walking the league to then looking like you're going to try playoffs, and then looking down and out after the first leg, and then that amazing comeback, and then we win in the last kick of the ball at Wembley, and it's an absolute party since then, isn't it? And bit like Blair, I just thought, I got a Leeds friend text me and I thought, oh, he's having a laugh here, And sure enough, you click on the link and it's actually officially on the club's website, and I'm like, why? What's going on here? What could be the reason for this? I don't, Moore's been battling to get his CV up, and he earned the right to manage back in the Championship, and he may well do it, might go to another club, but I think he deserved the shot with us. But I'm stunned, I really am. Now,
Ash, you're known as being the happiest of clappiers on this show. Geezer's been playing 5-3-2. Was as far as Chansiri may have been concerned, that we had enough tools to do the job. We got to the playoffs last year. We should have pushed on and got automatic promotion. Do you feel like our performances at the back end of December and then through March and April might have had something to do with it, or do you reckon that Moore's had his head turned because Chansiri's offered him a short-term contract? I mean, try and put some realism on it for me. Come on, bum us all out.
Right. So when you were in junior school and you used to fold bits of paper into these little things, and kids used to do this, where you go number. Chansiri,
pick a number, pick a colour.
Yeah, Chansiri's just woke up this morning and gone, fucking, let's have a game. Hang on. In, out. Right, he's out. Fuck it. He's gone. But what? the guy, I've not been more in, more out or anything like that. I've been really on the fence and that, but he's done a job. He's got, I would assume his remit was automatics or at least promotion. 2 chances of promotion, automatics, playoffs. Playoffs, yes. Tick, done. We're in Championship, right? That's it. And you heard like a few days after that they were going to meet, and he's got his even before even before he said it doesn't matter if we were going to be in League One or Championship. He had his targets of who he wanted to bring in. More, this is so. There was work going on in the background, so it's just out of the blue. So something they must have had a meeting or something's happened behind the scenes for all his backroom staff to go as well. It's like I said, we'll not know, but Chansiri, I don't know what he's done there. Is the feel good factor. The last for all what people have said about what happens on the pitch, they said that behind the scenes that Moore has, brought the club together, and they've been looking like the behind the scenes have been running nice. They're training. Everyone says it's a good atmosphere. He's a good guy, and all that, but the fans were like, we had the season tickets, we've had the shirts just released, at the prices of them, and you could say what you like about the sponsor and the shirt and all that, and then just to like kick you again, they've got rid of mutual consent. So you don't know if Darren's had his finger in there and done. You don't, dear. It says mute. You can only go what the press release, what the announcement says. It's mutual consent. So. If he's gone into Chansiri's office and gone, I don't think I can do it. I need a break, or for whatever reason, then that's it. Innit? It's just shocking, just shocking.
Well, there's an element of like you were saying about the shirts and the season tickets, where all of a sudden, like when you dangle keys to stop a kid kicking off, like you know what I mean? Hey. Kids kicking off about the price of the shirts and the 150 quid I've boshed on the season tickets. What about this, kids? What about this one? Glang, 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 glang. You know what I mean? There's an element of that. But Stevie, come on, man. This is. I know you've been a big advocate of DMs right from day one, and you wavered a bit, but not too much. You've always been our Darren Moore advocate. I mean, how do you feel about it?
Do you know what? It hasn't sunk in, and as daft as it sounds, I'm just not. I haven't been able to process it. Hence me stumbling my words a little bit. I can't get it. A lot of what Ash has said is sort of, it resonates with me, but it's come from out of the blue, and every single argument or conversation that people are having, transfers, budget, somebody coming in, has he had his head turned? I think there are that many different threads. It's almost like a story that's been interwoven, and you get to a point where there's a cliffhanger on something that's happened, and then it's something that you didn't see coming, and I didn't see it coming. I don't think anybody did.
The Sheffield Wednesday EastEnders.
Mate, we're talking about the things that could possibly be. We're talking about him not being happy, or we're talking about it can't be that he's burnt out, because if he's burnt out, he's not taking his backroom staff with him. This is one person who walks away. You don't make an announcement and go, Moore's going to walk because, he needs a rest, he needs a break. He's not going to walk and then take. And when he says the backroom staff, I'm assuming it's all the analysts. I'm assuming it's Jamie Smith. I'm assuming it's Simon, what's his face? The whole lot are going to walk. Then, where are they going? Are they burnt out as well? Is everybody equally as tired? I don't know.
Let's not forget the guy in charge of picking who we signed has gone to Blackpool. So
yeah, so he's gone, Antti. But he went from a head of recruitment to a director of football. I'll stand corrected, but I think he's gone for a different role that was more senior to the one he would have had if he'd have stayed here. And I get that, and that's fine. But 24 hours ago, they were talking about his right-hand man sticking around and being part of the recruitment, weren't they? He was actually brought in, if I remember rightly, or I've read right, he was brought in by David Downs was brought in by Steve Bruce, who worked with him at Villa. So he's come in, and Moore's come in and then said, all right, we'll keep hold of you, we'll retain you. And they've created a working relationship that has been really, really productive. And you can say what you want about some of the players that we've signed, but let's be right. On paper, when we looked at the start of the season, everybody was happy with the business that we were doing, and everybody was happy with the recruitment from a loan point of view. So for me, he ticked a lot of boxes there. People are talking about him not having money to go and spend, and then I'm thinking about that, and I'm thinking, well, he didn't have money to spend anyway. So is that such a big issue? What's the biggest outlay he's paid out? Malik Wilkes, 300 grand. So I don't necessarily, and I might be wrong. It's just me trying to speculate and spitballing in what are we 2 hours after it's happened. How can it be a transfer thing? How can we have not got this right before Monday, the 19th of June? So how have they not had these conversations? What has happened? So all of a sudden, Darren Moore's turned around and gone, if it's him that's done it, has turned around and gone, I'm not happy with the way things are at the moment, so we're going to walk. Or what has happened for Chansiri to sit down with him and go, do you know what? This is what you've got to work with. Today's the day that it's going to happen. As he had like a week off or 2 weeks off, and then they've come back and said, right, we're going to iron things out on Saturday, because they were in town together on Saturday, weren't they? They've had a meeting, and whatever the outcome of that meeting has been has led to today's announcement. I can only assume, but from my point of view, I think there's just too many intangibles to sort of get to a point where we go, right, Moore's done this or Chansiri's done that, and this is where we are, and these are the reasons behind it. There's not one plausible, and as daft as it sounds, there's not one plausible justification for what's just happened tonight. And for that reason, although I waffled a little bit, I'm finding it really hard to articulate how I feel about it all, because I'm still really, really confused.
Okay, let me proffer a different reason. Sorry, Ash, I'm going to stitch you up online here, mate. You've written it's never a quiet time. I was trying to, when it was all moving around, I was trying to change it as quick as I could. But yeah, Ash is manning the Twitterage now, so get involved. At us at TWWcast or hashtag TWWlive, and we'll read your tweets out. Now, I'm going to proffer a different example here, given how football works and all the rest of it. So, Darren Moore was on a rolling contract from season to season. His stock is now currently very high, given that he's just taken a team at the second bite of the cherry with its perceived woes as a sleeping giant and all the rest of it. Do you reckon that Chansiri has essentially said, I'll give you another year, and he's gone, well, I can get a 3-year contract for shits and gigs, Leeds or Bournemouth? They're offering me a 3 years here. Why should I stick around here for a year on year? And I feel like he's gone, well, sod this, I'm out of here, because he's probably got a better opportunity somewhere else. Sorry, I'm getting a bit of feedback there, folks. No, my apologies about the audio. But yeah, there's definitely things there where it's all potential speculation that we've got. Now, Blair, we've got a bit of a problem, because look at Barry Bannon's rousing speech after the second leg at Hillsborough, saying, thank you, Gaffer. We wouldn't have done it without you. This is the same man that got a psychologist in the day after the 4-0 defeat, didn't sleep all night. Are we going to miss him?
I mean, that night at Hillsborough, I don't think it'll be ever topped as a Sheffield Wednesday fan experience of going to watch football, going to watch Sheffield Wednesday, because that was just unbelievable, wasn't it? I was talking about it to my dad yesterday, about it, just like what an insane night it was. And I think even if he did something insane like got promoted to the Premier League, I don't think the feeling of that night will be the same, because that night was it was special, and it was something else. But only 32,000 people truly know how it felt. We will miss him in a sense, but he did mastermind that victory. But then, if a lot can change. And you're right, his stock is very high, because after that game and after the playoff win against Barnsley, we were everywhere, weren't we? We were on TalkSport, we were on American news stations. My cousin who lives in Florida messaged me saying, I know everything about Sheffield Wednesday this month. like we were all over. So our players, our managers, his face was everywhere. And if a lot can happen in one phone call in football, and we don't know if the manager's been touted when someone's rang the manager up and said, we can offer you this, more money, simple as people. That's what people go for, or vice versa. The chairman's got a phone call and said, this guy's available, his backroom staff's available, and he's gone, hang about, I'll have a bit of that. So you don't know what way it is. I don't think the budget is a thing, because the Championship's mental now. I think Bristol City signed a defender over a year for £8 million. So if Chansiri said, I'm not paying them sort of prices for players, I can't see Darren Moore saying being against that and leaving because of that. Because I don't think we don't want the club going back to how it got the points deduction in the first place. I mean, the only thing I can think of is maybe it was a complete mutual consent. Ferguson always told his players to leave on a high. That's why Van der Sar left when he just won a title. That's why he left when he just won the Premier League and Man United. Never leave on a low, because people remember the low part of your career, not the high bit. So if Darren Moore's gone, I can't take this club what I achieved last season. I can't. And if he's gone to, I don't know. He's trying to.
You've got to back yourself, though, surely, Blair. Obviously, I know you're saying he could have said, but I would think that Moore. He's been in the Championship before, hasn't he? Got a rough deal. We're West Brom, weren't he?
Yeah,
he got a rough ride there. Yeah, so I would have thought he'd fancy himself. He thinks he's a Championship manager, which he is. Obviously, he's been there before. He's got well, he's not. It's P45, didn't he? Yeah. But I would have thought he fancied himself, his backroom staff, the players he'd got, majority of them, and he's going to have money to spend.
Well, it just shows that the Reece James story came out today, didn't it? Saying, "Oh, we're working on his transfer." Well, I mean, if that could have been this morning, Darren Moore's left in the afternoon, so it's probably not going to happen now.
There's contracts as well. There's Johnson's contract and Dele Bashiru's contract as well. Yeah. So there is stuff behind the scenes that's going on that's going to be up in the air.
I think the whole next season's up in the air. John, let's bring some balance to this. I mean, God, it's going to be a difficult question to ask, and I'm going to stitch you up by asking you specifically. I'm not going to go with it. I'm not going there yet. But is there an element of that Chansiri wanted better? He wanted to absolutely rinse the league. He wanted to automatic promotion, and Moore just fell short of that. Like, there was his remit, get higher than the playoffs, and we didn't pull that off in spite of the start we had and the run-up we had at it. We're playing defensive football. We know that Chansiri had an issue with Pulis and the football that he played, and we've been stuck on 5, 4, 5, 3, 2, 7. There's 5 at the back anyway. You know what I mean? Whoever plays up front is in the lap of the gods. But the do you reckon that he might have underperformed and there might have been an uncomfortable conversation, or do you believe it's got something to do with Blair offers a different point, the Reece James thing there? I want to sign Reece James. We can't. We've got no money. All right, see you later. You know what I mean? Is he anything like that?
Well, they did say Chansiri said he was going to be aggressive in the Championship, which makes you think that there is going to be some sort of budget. Obviously, you're not going to be competing with the likes of the 3 relegated teams because they've got the parachute money, haven't they? But and these players who we're talking about re-signing fit a very specific system, and Darren Moore's system, like you just mentioned, a very specific system. So obviously, like Blair said, there's going to be major doubts now about whether any of those players are actually going to be targeted to re-sign. In terms of Moore himself, the remit was promotion, and you know that if you fall out of the top 2, you've got that third bite of the cherry, haven't you, with the playoffs? And I don't think you can ask for any more than getting promoted, because that's the ultimate aim, was to get back into the Championship. Which he's done, which he's achieved. Moore's achieved that. So whether there was, and the players love him as well. So it's not like there was any sort of whispers from the players we've got up, but I really don't like how we play. It's a system not really suited to me, and looking for a more sort of high profile manager. So I can't see it being Chansiri really thinking he's been a bit elitist and wanting a bigger name in the Championship to try and get us back up. We're not going to go up next season anyway. Let's be right. It's good, Well,
if you listen to Carlton Palmer on TalkSport, we're going up every week, according to him. Every time they speak to him, we're going straight up, because look at Sunderland, is what he keeps saying, even though they didn't go up.
No. But I think we all said on a previous pod that we all agreed we think we probably need 6 or 7 players minimum, and that would be just to sort of consolidate ourselves in the Championship. But if he is being aggressive, which would be foolish to go down the road we went down before, and maybe when he says I'm going to be aggressive in the Championship, didn't just mean buying players, meant getting a manager in that he thinks can do it better than Moore. So, but I think it's harsh on Moore, very harsh.
I mean, before we go down the route of who you're going to get, I'm in a bit of a weird quandary with it, Stevie. I know you're kind of stuck for words, and Blair's just waffled his way through the last 10 minutes. Like, but there's a there's a weird bit where I'm kind of like, I don't really give a shit, and I know this is mental, but I over the last probably 10, 15 years, I've not really endeared myself to any manager. The reason being is because, you know, it's a revolving door. So whoever the next geezer is, he'll come in probably the last 2 years and leave, right? That's kind of how managers work. So I'm kind of like, oh, that was your turn. Whose turn is it now? And I'm kind of there with it. I think the bit where I'm against it is that how much he'd engage with the players. That, you know, Bannon, Windass, all our top boys were very much advocates of his, and I feel like we're really gonna miss that camaraderie going in, because if we get in somebody like, for example, Mowbray, who did a great job with Blackburn, and they've tried something new to try and push forward with John Dahl Thomason, and it kind of was better, but it didn't really land. You know, they might do better next season. But if we get something like Mowbray, who's a bit of a old school headmaster type, like, are they going to get the same tune out of players like Windass and Bannon? But on the other side of it, I'm sick of seeing five at the back, because every time in his first 6 months and Moore tried to stop playing five at the back, it went to shit. So I'm kind of, I just like, well, that's his turn done. Let's look at somebody else's. Like, you know what I mean? I mean, what about you, Stevie? Like, is it personal to you?
I suppose it's more sentimental than personal, because, you know, we'll bang on about things week in, week out, and when we're talking about going to the games, you guys know, and everybody knows that watches or interacts with me on social media or listens to us know that I take my little girl, and, you know, the experiences that I've had this season of watching the games and watching the football, it almost detaches itself from everything other than that Sheffield Wednesday of it all, where you not live for the weekends, but you get to that point where your Saturdays become family time, and, you know, the time that I spend, that's why it becomes sort of a sentimental sort of thing. So it's not actually personal, I don't think. But I get what you mean when you're talking about the fact that he's done his stint, and, you know, he's had his round. And I think I was listening to something, it might have been TalkSport, it might have been something else. I was listening to some chat at some point over the last couple of weeks where they were talking about him being in the top 10 or the top 15 in terms of longevity of manager in the league. There's 92 clubs in the league. Darren Moore's been there for two and a bit years, and he's in the top 15. So it's the nature of the job nowadays, isn't it? And I totally agree with you, Dan. If somebody comes in next season and we finish in the top 6, it'll be Darren who. Do you know what I mean? It'll be a sentimental welcome back when, you know, when he comes back, if and when he comes back. And if he comes back with a club that we end up beating in the Championship next season and we finish above them, it's thank you very much for getting us out of League One. But we've moved on. It feels tonight like that's maybe a little bit of a distance away. And as we've said, I've always been a bit of a Darren Moore advocate. I've always been the person that has said, when we went down, I didn't blame him. And I've had fallouts with people in this chat and on this podcast about, you know, whether or not he should have kept us up. I've had fallouts on social media about he should have saved us from going down. And I've said from minute one, you know, us going down has probably been the best thing that happened to this club, because it gave us a chance to clear the decks. It gave us a chance to sort of regroup and restock. It was a gamble, obviously, if there's such a thing, but we had to get back up. Maybe not in the first year, although we'd done all right to sort of, you know, clear the decks and sort things out. But second year, he had to get us up this year. And the nature of us going up, I can remember Blair at the start of the year, we've talked about it a lot, Blair saying, playoffs at Wembley is the best way to do it. And I was absolutely not a chance. I want that league title. I want to get up. And when you've been top of the league for as long as we were, and we've been on the run that we'd been on, anything less than winning that league at that point when we got to Barnsley in March or whatever would have been seen as some sort of failure. But the fact that we lost the first leg of the playoff 4-0, and the fact that we were there for the 5-1, and as people have rightly said, that's probably going to be something that I don't think we'll see again in our lifetime. I don't, and that's not hyperbole. You don't do what we've done this season. That 5-1 turnaround, it's never happened before, and I don't see it happening again. You know, you can forget your Charlton, Sunderland 4-0s now. You know, that's done and dusted. People are going to talk about what we did at Hillsborough for years to come. Okay, and like people have been saying, from an international point of view, the stock and the profile that we've got people talking about it. Guardiola talking about Darren Moore. Are you having an absolute laugh? Do you know what I mean? So that's where we were with things in that last month. That's where we've been. So for to see it end as it's ended, I think, having said everything that I've said, I think we've probably ended it a little bit too soon in terms of whatever the circumstances may be. Darren Moore deserved a run at the championship with what he'd done, and I don't think this was on the cards based on everything that had been said at the close season coming back in. We were talking about being 2-3 weeks out of behind everybody else because of being in the playoffs, and now all of a sudden, from looking at that and looking at recruitment and looking at everything else that we've got to do, we're now at a point where Chansiri and Darren Moore have had a conversation, and 48 hours later, whatever it may be, they've turned around and gone, no, let's just leave it there. That's a problem. That's a problem.
Yeah, I feel that. I mean, Ash, I feel there's more of a background here in terms of, listen, Chansiri, we need Dejphon, you know, we need to strengthen the squad. You're not spending all my money. We've got no money to spend. You know what I mean? Do you reckon that for any new listeners that's listening on Twitter, that's my world famous Dejphon Chansiri impression. But like, you know what I mean? Like, is there an element there, Ash, of there might have been a fallout there, or do you reckon that there's a plan?
I would look. You would hope there's a plan. Whatever the discussion was, like Stevie said, 48 hours ago in Sheffield City Centre, there was between them two. You would hope there's a plan, whatever it was. If Darren, his recruitment, like they mentioned before, they said they'd met and they'd got a plan for whatever league we were in. The players that are still at the club, releasing them and signing new contracts. Obviously, Johnson and Dejphon, like I mentioned, their contracts are still up in the air. We don't know if they're accepting or not, and it's even worse now.
Has Gregory signed his contract? I don't think.
Yeah, Gregory's got a year, so they've done the business on releasing and offering contracts where they wanted to. It's just the strangest 48 hours from whatever's happened. So if Chansiri has come to the decision, woke up this morning, or he's had a chat with somebody else, you know, someone who's available, you know, like, oh, let's go out for Monday lunch type thing, and he's had a chat with somebody, and he's thought, actually, I like the cut of this guy's jib. I'm going to employ him.
Was there not a photograph yesterday appear on Twitter of Moore and Chansiri having lunch?
Yeah.
That's it sounds, because it's near the Revolution Bar, just off of what's that street that had the David Bowie mural? What's that road?
West Street.
Fucking West. It is West Street, isn't it? Because that's the road I work on as well down here. So yeah, you walk down.
No, it's Division Street. Man. Division Street, where the forum.
Yeah,
just up by Devonshire.
Yeah, there's a little car park in between there and the Revs, isn't there? And someone took a picture of them there, and so they were clearly thrashing some things out. So maybe those chats didn't go very well, or
that's the only thing you can think, isn't it? You'd have thought he'd got home from that chat, a couple of hours having a chat to each other. Chansiri's got home, or
it's not you, it's me,
or even Moore's got home and gone. Actually, I didn't like what you were saying. I don't feel confident. Whatever. Do you know? We're saying it, Chansiri. It says mutual, but it could have been more for a very good reason. More might have chucked it in.
There's a lot of guessing on this show, isn't there? It's a lot of guessing. This
because Daniel,
speculation.
We're not ITK, are we?
We never have been.
One of the easiest things to speculate is that Amadou's back involved in the transfers again, isn't it? And
yeah, the fact that he was there. The fact that he was there at Wembley and all of a sudden Darren Moore ain't there anymore makes you go, oh God.
And Darren Moore's like, I don't want.
He's never gone away though.
Yeah.
That's the thing.
No.
He's never
He's
never been away. So to say people say he's coming back, he's never been away.
I think
he's more involved because we had downs, didn't we, as recruitment? But in the past, we were led to believe that Amadou was involved in a lot of the transfers, and you know some of the players that we signed back then were. Well, some of them were absolute garbage, weren't they?
Well, yeah. I mean,
It just, sorry, Dan, it just seems to me that all this stuff, we're clutching at things that have happened in the past and almost alluding to the fact that we don't think Chansiri's learned from his mistakes. And I think that he has. I think he has to have. I think that, you know, everything that has come out of the club in the last sort of 18 months or so, I don't believe for a second that he's going to go back and go, all right, well, now that we've got promoted and we're back in Championship, let's go back to Paxal. Not a chance.
I don't know. Right. So look at your Twitter timeline, for example. Right. The FYP. You end up looking at a tweet that's absolute some right wing nonsense. Right. And you go, oh, what's that? Oh, I can't believe someone's tweeted that. And then it's right wing crap for the rest of a few days. Right. Yeah. And then Chansiri, in his world, in his universe that he exists in, these fans don't exist as human beings. We are numbers on a spreadsheet. We're an entity. We are the Sheffield Wednesday fans. They don't talk about Dan. They don't talk about Ash. Do you know what I mean? We are the Sheffield Wednesday fans, right? So when you go online and you see people slagging off Paxal, for example, right? He has no real idea that that's happening. I don't think he has an idea, and I don't think he gives a shit. It's like that geezer at Everton, the guy who's bumped in £500 million. He's not after feedback. You know what I mean? He's not after feedback on his investment and how to spend it. He don't give a shit. Now,
what if Paxal signed Reece James?
Maybe he might do, right? Does he involved in doing sports? We don't know, right? Now, there's also an element of, and this is going to be, you're going to have to stick with me on this one because this is a hell of a reference, right? So, Cubby Broccoli is the guy behind James Bond, right? He passed away, and Barbara Broccoli took over, right?
So, whoa, just hold there, Dan. Sorry, I know you were in mid-flow, but that is the second, nearly the first thing tonight that I just didn't think I'd hear, that you were going to reference James Bond to Sheffield Wednesday. But sorry.
Right. So let me go with you, right? So Barbara Broccoli, for her first movie that she was in charge of the entire Bond fortune, had Daniel Craig, right? And he was her James Bond. You know what I mean? So what happened with Daniel Craig and his James Bond was entirely down to her. And that was a project of love. And that was a project of, well, shit, Daniel Craig's left. I tell you what, fuck it. Let's just chuck some money at him and let's get him back for another one. You know what I mean? And there's an element of personability that Barbara's got to Daniel Craig. And I feel that there is an element of personability that Chansiri has got to people like Paxal. You know, he's constantly in touch. He don't want to let the players go when they go because he feels personal to it. And it's weird because you have to try and put yourself into a different culture and a different community's way of thinking. And I feel like this entire project is personal to him, whether it's a shit show or not. You know, he's going to feel it, you know, in his pocket mainly. You know, but I don't think that, to bring this full circle, just like probably Daniel Craig had his haters online, I don't feel like Chansiri gives two shits about our opinion on Amadou Paxal. I don't think he cares because I don't think we exist as people in the world that he's in his private bathroom, you know, bloke to do your belt up world.
I totally agree with everything that you've just said there in terms of
even the James Bond bit.
Yeah. Well, it was shit. That was crap. But I totally agree with the point you're trying to get to. The only thing I would say, though, is if Chansiri's had his fingers burnt and lost a shitload of money, and he's found a route back into potentially making more money and engaging with the fan base, even though we are the faceless mass over here, is he not then going to turn around and go, well, this guy is the guy that makes that faceless mass like me. So if they're gonna start, you know, putting money into my coffers, if they're going to start supporting me, they're going to jump on the bandwagon, they're going to begrudgingly pay the money that we're paying in terms of the season tickets, and we will go there at that point, season tickets, shirts, all the other stuff that, you know, we're being absolutely ripped off for. If that's the viewpoint that you want to have, then what does he need? He needs somebody that's going to soften the blow. He needs that, almost that sort of the silk glove that's going to say, right, none of this we're happy with, but we're going to do it because Darren Moore has offered us this sort of this experience that we've had over the last season that we've been through. Surely you take it to that point where he's achieved great things. So do you not want to then go, right, now that we've achieved it, we've got to stick with it? Because the bottom line is, at the end of the day, when we can announce a manager tomorrow, and what is it, 47 days until the start of the season? We released 13 players. We've got to sign 13 players to break even in terms of the numbers of players that we've got rid of, loans or signing. Is it something like that?
We've got 14 senior players.
So just sorry, Blake, just bear with me then. So let's look at that then. If we released the players that we've played, and we had a small squad, admittedly a small squad last year, the players that we've released, we've got 14 in, and that will include, with due respect to some of them, it'll include youth players that we've had, and it'll include players that, let's be right, are going to be there for the ride and not necessarily play a lot of football next season. For us to go and have an impact in the Championship, we've got to go and sign a hell of a lot of players that are going to be, in and around that top end. We can't do that at the moment with without a manager. We're on the back foot. And what worries me when we get to these situations, sorry, Fudge, I will shut up in a minute. What worries me when we get to these situations is that, for me personally, I look at it and it's right. This club's done that business now. This club signed that player there. This team, and it doesn't matter who they are. The nature of the beast is we go, oh, fucking hell, they're doing bits, and they've signed somebody, and they've signalled an intent. And right now, there are teams in the Championship. We're talking at the top end. We're talking about wanting to be competitive in the Championship. If we're going to do that, we need to do his business early. As it stands at the minute, the reality is, and I could ask all four of you tonight, we would take 21st next year. We would. We won't be happy with it necessarily, but if we're a Championship club in 2 years' time, we'd take it. But for us to be a 21st finishing Championship team, we need to be doing our business now. And at the minute, we're miles off it.
When we appointed Carlos, though, for the first time, that was the 1st of July. I mean, 17 players, the playoff final. Don't matter.
But right, I'll take that. 1st of July. But then, from that point of view, we've got mismanagement. We've got spunked a load of money at it. We've signed this player, that player, that player. We can't afford to do that.
Yeah, but our books, because the FFP is so weird, our books are probably better now to spend money than they were.
Yeah, they will be.
7 years ago.
Like Stevie said, that 2 years that we've spent down has probably done us well. Are you ready to bring this full circle?
We still can't afford to spunk money, though, can we?
That's a good point, Ash. So, for example, top of the betting now is Carlos Carvalho, a.k.a. Daniel Craig. We've got no players, so we'll have to sign them on loan.
Look, if it brings Alex Lopez back, I'm all for it.
And do you think that Chansiri, with his Daniel Craig, is going to go, that worked that time, let's try it again?
Finish the story, Rock. Finish the story.
And I feel that, it's got legs. John, I saw you wince. Do you not agree?
Well,
Daniel Craig is coming back. I'm telling you.
Yeah. I think one of the things with the Carlos thing is that the players were just, we've got injuries anyway, but they were just running to the ground, weren't they? And they were just, obviously season 1 was fantastic, wasn't it? But, and we just didn't turn up to do it when it came to the final. And it was just amazing seeing all those signings at the time, weren't they? But the problem with it is, and this is why I liked Moore, is the signings under Moore were even if they were free or loans, they made sense, and they weren't one season wonders where if you didn't do anything with them, you couldn't move them on, you couldn't resell them, and they were on massive wages. And I'd hope that lesson would be learned. But I thought Carlos was always a manager that was happy for players to be picked for him, and he mould them into the team rather than select, go for his own targets. He's a bit of a yes man in a different kind of way to Moore. And I don't know. I'd love Carlos season 1, and obviously if you told me if we could come back and have that sustained, then I'd be all for it. But I get a feeling that we'd be going down familiar ground again, and I don't think it's a smart move.
Is he a different manager though after a fair few years? I mean, another 10 clubs, and probably 25 women.
He stays a season or two max, doesn't he? Yeah.
He's had 22 clubs, I believe.
But maybe that's what it takes. Do you know what? If this is if this has come out of the blue, and we weren't expecting to lose more, and we can get somebody in that's offered us season 1 over season 2, and he stays till end of next year, is that a bad thing?
No.
Again, I don't really give a shit. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, I find it really difficult to invest in it. I'm like, I'm the worst pundit going. You know what I mean? I'm like, well, here's a football show talking about football. I don't really give a shit. Do you know what I mean? Ash, have we had any tweets? I think North Yorkshire Al's been on, hasn't he?
No, not that I can see.
He has.
Not on the hashtag TWW Live, so I can't see it.
All right.
That's this thing.
TWW Live.
It's not. No.
Is the internet working in your house? Have you tried to turn it on and off again?
Yeah.
All right,
Steve. No, go on then. How's Spendog going to be when Moore rocks up at Leeds and his first signing is Palmer? Well, it won't be, will it? But
No.
The lads back together, Steve. You'd be happy with that, wouldn't you?
I can't comment. Who was it that just mentioned? Was it Ash? Mentioned that Carlos might be coming in and never played Liam Palmer.
No, but Blair said earlier, yeah.
I'm not ready for that. Whoever it is that comes in, the prerequisite, they've got to play Liam Palmer.
Okay, so if you are watching online, use the hashtag TWW Live. Get yourselves involved. We've also got Hark Now Here out there as well. So send us your voice notes to our burner phone that just wakes Ash up in the middle of the night.
I'm sure Gaz Robinson sent one in. I'm sure. I've got a feeling.
Yeah, wait till Gaz Robinson's had a few lagers, and then all of a sudden we should get a song probably about midnight tonight, Ash. So that's going to be all right.
Do you reckon, Dan? Just on lagers, do you reckon the geezer who's selling the beer? What was it, Moro Moretti or whatever?
That was yesterday, wasn't it?
4-pack. He only bought a 4-pack. I hope he didn't invest in a fair few hundred of them.
Yeah, imagine.
So, listen, we'll come back to Darren Moore and his departure in just a second, but I'm going to use this opportunity while we might have a couple of listeners online, and you'll be listening to this on your podcast apps as well. Today, of all the bloody days, we picked the day to launch our new initiative. So we've used an app that's called Buy Us a Coffee, and you can donate £3. Or you can subscribe to us for £3 a month. We don't have any exclusive content, but what I wanted to do with the money was save it up and buy match tickets, buy football shirts, buy things for underprivileged communities and underprivileged kids, and give them an experience given the cost of living crisis. So if there's an opportunity that you can pop on, the link is in our link tree in our Twitter bio. So if you want to go and have a look, donate us £3. We'll save it up, and then when we've got enough to get a shirt, get a couple of tickets, we'll put that offer out online. But yeah, so you can also watch these on Facebook. I sound like Jim White now. He always says Facebook wrong. I don't know if anybody's heard it. He says Facebook, and it really winds me up.
That might be his accent, though, Dan. Not that he says it wrong.
It probably is. I got complimented on my accent today. So anyway, coming back now, Blair, it's that question that I always avoid like the plague. Who now? Where do we go from here?
Who now? Well, I mean, I've convinced myself I want Carlos back now. So I'm going Daniel Craig.
You see, it weren't that stupid an analogy. I'll tell you what, if Carlos comes back, I'm going to clip that entire bullshit that I said not 10 minutes ago, and you're all having it thrown down your FYPs. He knows the club. He knows the club.
I mean, what? My only rational thinking I can think about Chansiri getting rid of Moore is if it was a sacking, it would be there was performances last season and the season before, like the Burton one away last season, even the Peterborough away in the playoffs. All right, we did turn it around. Shrewsbury away against on New Year's Day. Forest Green Rovers. Do you know what I mean? So I mean, there's not like Darren Moore playing champagne football and it was all great and we were going to storm it next season. I mean, there was reasons why you could think maybe if you're not an emotional Sheffield Wednesday fan, but and you're a business owner, maybe that's why he did do it. But I don't think it's the right decision. My view on Carlos is now, but since if I give you Carlos's CV just from managing us, so let's just say a manager came in tomorrow and his past 5 clubs was he got a team who's never been to the Championship playoff final before. He then nearly kept Swansea up, who were destined to get relegated. beating Liverpool was one of his big achievements in that little run. He got Rio, a small team in Portugal, to Europe for the first time in their history, I believe. They got Braga then to, I think they finished second in Portugal, won a cup, and then got to quarter-final in Europa League. And he then kept Celta Vigo up last season, and they looked like they were going to get relegated out of La Liga. So if a manager came with that CV, you'd be like, fucking hell, what a... Do you know what I mean? Like, what? That's a good CV for the Championship, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And a lot of that.
How many clubs
in the last
that?
8 years?
5.
Yeah, I was just going to say 5 clubs in 8
7
years.
years. Yeah, 7 years.
7
All right,
years.
Never been sacked though. He leaves. That's the thing. So
he got sacked from us.
Yeah, he got sacked from us. Yeah.
He's like a supply teacher. Just goes for 1 year.
I got right. So Ash,
yes. Steve knows about
Ash, on your point there. Right now, a lot was made during Carlos's time when it was with Sheffield Wednesday to sort of say that he thinks about the game in a different way, he's embraced the game in a different way. Because his CV is so transient, as it were, do you believe that he saw this revolving door of managers come before we actually saw it in this country? And essentially, his CV is just what managers are nowadays, right? That they're just seat fillers for a bit, aren't they?
Yeah, of course they are. It is, isn't it? They come for a job, and as much as I know what we like, you got the extremes where you got Arsene Wenger and Alex Ferguson that stayed, and they did build legacies, and Ferguson built like every other year was a new team and a new ethos, and did well. But when you're looking at like lower league managers and continental managers as well, because that's what Carlos is, obviously, it's a difficult one. I'm not. I would keep saying the first season, everyone would probably take the first season Carlos, wouldn't they? It's probably a no-brainer, obviously. Not how it ended, but the first season, some of the way we played, but we've got a different squad now. Totally different squad. We've got different sort of types of players, and when we're saying it's Carlos, we don't know if we're talking about him. It's only one name we're throwing in there. I don't know. I don't know if it's the right call. I'm really, like Stevie said earlier, I'm still pretty shocked. I mean, not a lot of stuff shocks me. I mean, I'm on Twitter all the time, and some of the shit that's on there, I mean, it shouldn't be shockable, but obviously tonight's news has shocked quite a few thousand Wednesdayites. But there is on Twitter, weren't there, quite a lot more out. There's quite a lot of people very vocal on there, weren't there? And then obviously what happened, we got promoted, and he did deserve. It doesn't matter how we thought the game's Forest Green aberration, but then there was games like the Peterborough second leg, Peterborough first leg, yes, Peterborough second leg, but then he deserves to have a crack. But then we'll see instead, if we're looking at it that Chansiri's pulled the trigger, if it's not mutual, but they've just said it for face, then he deserves to have a crack. If Moore's thrown the towel in, left for whatever reason behind the scenes, if there's something being said, or if he's been tapped up for another job because he's only got a 12-month roll in, if he's asked for a 3-year contract and Chansiri's gone, no, you can stay on a 12-month, then that's a bit shitty of the guy, isn't it? If he's asked for XYZ, Chansiri says, yes, you can have that. But then in this meeting 48 hours ago, he's rebunked that and said, no, you can't have that now. You don't know, do you? We can sit here for the next God knows how many hours and no one wants that. But
until managers have been announced, basically.
Yeah. There's a really weird thing. Those that watch Always Sunny in Philadelphia will know what I mean, where you're kind of sitting there thinking, who's it versus? Who's it against? You know what I mean? Like, because we're sat here going, well, if Moore's been tapped up and he's going to go somewhere like Leeds, then fuck him. Yeah. But then on the other hand, has Chansiri gone, hey, I'm only going to give you a 6-month contract and no money to spend, then fuck him. You know what I mean? We don't know who it's against. We don't know it's versus. John, have you got any more names to add to the hat of not Stevie's 2003 Von Dutch hat, just the Sheffield Wednesday hat? Any names popped up? Have you seen anything else? I mean, there's one there with too many consonants in his name in the betting. Who else have we got on Sky Bet that you've seen?
I think there's Daniel Farker's name's being mentioned, and he had a good spell at Norwich, didn't he? But I think they're just kind of names that they're just obvious names, aren't they? The bookmakers throw out because they've managed in the Championship and they've had some degree of success. Dean Smith's another name that's been mentioned. Did a caretaker job at Leicester. Played for us on loan for whatever that means, But for what it's worth, it seems like to me that he might be flipping the coin again and going the foreign route, whether that is Carlos or someone else. We'll have to wait and see. But like you, Dan, I don't know. I ain't got a clue. I ain't got a clue.
Don't give shit.
For. Yeah.
What would you say to somebody like Mowbray, John?
Yeah, I mean, Mowbray's one of those managers that, again, he probably doesn't necessarily play the nicest football, but he plays effective football, and he's got he's got promotions on his CV from this league again. But he kind of rebuilt his career, didn't he? Because his stock fell a bit, and then he went back to, like you said, that last job he had, and did really well before Blackburn decided to go their foreign route and try something different. But he kind of rebuilt his stock up again. So I mean, it won't be the worst appointment in the world, but would you really think
be an
get rid of more for Mowbray? Yeah, I mean,
I know what you mean. Stevie, what about you? Go on, Ash, you were going to say something.
So we've had another tweet in, breaking news.
Go on.
This is from Dan. He's absolutely gutted. Darren's ability to bring in players was second to none. He doesn't understand it, but wish him all the best. You don't realise what you've got until it's gone.
So Joni Mitchell getting an out in there. Didn't see that coming. I'd have been playing that probably about October when we're struggling to stay in the Championship. But we've gone early on Joni Mitchell. Didn't realise that was happening. Stevie, what about you? Any names that? By the way, if you do want to get in touch, go #TWW Live. We'll read them out to you. We've already had Joni Mitchell. Stevie, what about other names that you've seen? I mean, what would you say to people like Dean Smith and Mowbray and all these steady managers, or would you want to see something a bit more continental?
I kind of, when it comes to replacements, I'm kind of with you in the whole. It's almost irrelevant, and I don't really give a shit. At the end of the day, he's let's be right. He's leaving some huge shoes, isn't he? They're big shoes to fill, whatever happens.
Metaphorically and physically.
Yeah, I know it's only League One, but for me personally, I was too young, probably too young for it to really resonate with me when we won the cup in '91, 93. Yeah, that sort of early '90s era that we talk about a lot, from the golden era of the Premiership. I was a kid, so I didn't really get it. I wasn't bouncing about, and I didn't have life to sort of kick me in the arse before I went to watch Wednesday on a Saturday afternoon. So for those sorts of reasons, this season's almost been like the best season. The golden run that we've gone on to have we've come out of the dark days of Lukai and Monk and Pulis and the point deduction and the mismanagement of the club and everything else. Darren Moore has galvanized the club, he's galvanized the players, he's built a squad, he's changed the mentality around the place, and he's brought a togetherness. And it's not just him on his own, there's other people that have been in and around the club that have sort of contributed to that. But it was almost like we'll always talk about that, the night at Hillsborough, and it just felt special. And I don't know when we're going to get that back. So for those sort of reasons that we talked about earlier, he's left big shoes, and it don't matter. Does Tony Mowbray excite me? No. Does Dean Smith excite me? Absolutely not. Bless his heart, he nearly had his head ripped off, metaphorically, in the chat earlier on. Did Blair, for mentioning Nathan Jones? This guy don't bother me at all either. If somebody said to me now, who's a viable and realistic option, I don't necessarily have the disregard towards Carlos that other people have got, because I think I take Blair's point. I think he's a better manager now than he was. And that first season was a good first season, wasn't it? And things went wrong, and with hindsight's a wonderful thing. So if he comes back and gives us the first season, fine. I'd actually quite like to see Ryan Lowe. If not, I think Ryan Lowe has done good stuff. He's set a team up, and I think he'd come with a good stock. And for everything that you hear, he's the guy that's still in Schumacher's here at Plymouth, isn't he? And they still talk on a regular basis, and he's giving him advice and saying, maybe think about this and maybe do that. I'd love to get somebody like that, and I'd probably, when I think about it, go down that sort of route. But anybody that's not been tried and tested, even as a young manager, is a gamble, aren't they? So, you know.
I've got a name for you, Stevie.
Are you going to shit house, Ash? Are you going to shit house, Ash?
No.
Are you going to say it?
What about Bruno Lage?
No.
Was he Carlos' assistant?
Yep.
Carlos
He was
assistant.
Carlos number 2. Yeah.
Yeah.
He did
Why?
well.
Why?
Ash, can I have you saying Bruno Lage as my ringtone? Can I?
Lage.
I was going to say Lager, but it's a bit...
I tell you what about some shit housing? I wouldn't mind Michael Duff. I wouldn't mind it.
Nah, fuck that.
Yeah. Do you know what? I take Michael Duff because he's Ryan Lowe 2.0, isn't he?
He's a loser.
That's it, Blair. Yes. He's a loser. He bottles it. No, he's a loser.
Nah, I'd take. He wouldn't offend me. He wouldn't offend me.
Okay.
The other big issue that we've got, and just as another serious sort of side note, the number of players that we've got in the squad that stayed for more, and the number of players that we want to retain and have said we need to keep hold of that guy, we need to keep hold of that guy, and they've either signed new contracts or they've stuck around because Darren Moore's building a project. If something has happened and Darren Moore is was building a project, the wheels have fallen off because Chansiri's mismanaged things. What message is that sending to your Bannons and your Windasses and your Patos that have gone in and invested themselves in the club because they're manager, and people will play for managers, won't they? You know, I'm gonna be loyal. Bannon was loyal to Darren Moore, and I know that Bannon can be divisive, and some people can say he's overrated or whatever else. You know, we won't know how good a player Barry Bannon was for us until we don't have him anymore.
Joni Mitchell once again stepping in. Ash, before I wrap this up, have we had any more before we go?
Well, my phone weren't working earlier, was it? So let me just.
We could have had
7,000.
Oh my God! It's all kicking off.
Oh, is it?
No.
I love live telly. It's great fun.
I
feel like Anton Deck.
Here we are.
Do you remember when we tried to get Andres Villas-Boas, but we were out rallying in Dakar or something? Do you remember that?
Andres Villas-Boas, he was sexy, wasn't he? But
a friend of the podcast, Holly, as she's put, it's been absolutely hammering my Barnsley supporting family for their manager leaving. Finding it hilarious. Wednesday have absolutely fucked me here. But it's apologies, Holly, and commiserations in your household. They've had a bit of a battering last month, haven't they? So unfortunate. Yeah, but no others at the minute. Obviously, with the 12 listeners aren't really. I think they're all in shock.
Yeah, you can listen back to this on online as well, ladies and gents. So we'll put this into your podcast apps as of in the next couple of hours. In the meantime, thanks a lot for joining us, and we'll see what's happening when we go forward. See you later.
The Wednesday week is sponsored by Michael Constantine Wealth Management. We bet you can't find a financial advisor closer to Hillsborough Stadium.
Blair, I've put you on specially. I brought you onto the side to talk about men's grooming, downstairs grooming.
Well, as you know, I'm the biggest men's grooming guy in the biz today, Foot.
Well, of course you are. Of course you are. And I know that you're a big gym guy. I know you're a big runner. And have you ever been out and about and all of a sudden you've got what can be described as a small fire down there?
It's as red as a fire engine down there sometimes, Foot.
Well, I tell you what, that's a good point, because right now, the Wednesday week for the next few weeks is going to be brought to you by Manscaped. And we're giving away, we're giving away discounts on the Manscaped 4.0 bundle.
What's it include?
I've got, it's the performance package, mate. You've got the Lawnmower 4.0 trimmer, Weed Whacker, yeah, a Crop Reviver toner, so, it brings it back if you need it. Performance boxer briefs if performing is an issue for you, mate.
I'm fully seeded, but
fully seeded. I enjoy that. Yeah. So, and then we've got all the bits that'll keep it off the bathroom floor. We've got, well, it's waterproof. It cuts down the issue that you might get. It helps reduce the likelihood of getting an ingrowing hair as well.
Perfect. And that's
You know
coming
what I
from a
mean?
Gillette fan.
In it. So I thought you'd be a fan. So listen, you guys back home, you guys watching and listening right now, you can get a discount on this if you enter the code TWW20 into the checkout at the end, and you can get yourself a 20% discount. That's the Manscaped 4.0 bundle. Get on it. The Wednesday Week is also brought to you by Michael Constantine Wealth Management. I bet you can't find a financial advisor closer to Hillsborough Stadium.